Dear students, I welcome you all to the online classes of the year 2020 and 21. Myself, Jayakumar NC, lecturer in Commerce, Government PU College, Shikaripura. So now I am going to take up the financial statement part 1 and part 2. ಆತ್ಮೀಯ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳೇ, ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ನಾನು ಪ್ರಥಮ PU ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ತರಗತಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತಿಸುತ್ತಾ ಟುಡೇ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಟೇಕ್ ದ ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ 1. As you have already learnt the meaning of accounting and the process of accounting. So with that assumption, I am heading towards the financial statement. Financial statement is the last process in the process of accounting, or the step in the process of accounting. Financial statement is a statement prepared by the business to know the financial performance of the business and to know the financial position of the business. The financial statement comprises of mainly the two things. One is trading and profit and loss account. Understood? Yes. The first one is trading and profit and loss account. The second one is balance sheet. So we prepare the trading and profit and loss account to know the financial performance of the business by the end of the year. So we prepare the balance sheet in order to know the financial position of the business by the end of the year on a particular date. In a balance sheet, the assets and liabilities will be recorded. So later on, we shall see how to prepare the trading and profit and loss account and the pro forma of the trading and profit and loss account. What are the items to be recorded in trading and profit and loss account and balance sheet. So now the next thing is who prepares the financial statement. As we already came to know that what is a financial statement. Who prepares the financial statement? The financial statement will be prepared by the business or the accountant of the business. He prepares the financial statement. Then when prepares the financial statement? This is a question. So normally we already seen in the concept and convention. So one of the concept of business or accounting is accounting period concept. As per the accounting period concept, every business has to prepare its financial statement. So regularly in the sense either quarterly or half yearly or yearly. Normally the business will prepare the financial statement yearly. So therefore the financial statement will be prepared by the end of the year on a particular date. Then why prepares the financial statement? So as we have seen already the meaning of a financial statement, in order to know or in order to ascertain the financial performance of the business and the financial position of the business, we prepare the financial statement. The next thing is, so who needs the financial statement? So this is the most important question. As we have already seen once again in the concept legal identity concept. The legal identity concept, it says that the business is different and the owners are different. The business affairs should be recorded in the business books of accounts only, not in the owners books of accounts. So therefore the business has to prepare its own account and the informations required are either by the owners or the external parties. So they are called as the stakeholders. The concept is the stakeholders. Stakeholders means one who have got interest directly or indirectly in the business affairs. They are called as stakeholders. And the stakeholders can be broadly classified into two. One is the internal and another one is the external. So internal means the people who are inside the business or in the business or in the management, they are called as internal stakeholders. Example, CEO means Chief Executive Officer. VP, that means Vice President of the business. Managers and supervisors, these people need information which gives by the financial statement in order to take a decision by the end of the year or in order to make a decision for the business. So therefore they are called as stakeholders. Another category of stakeholders are external parties or external people who have directly or indirectly related to the business or business affairs. Example, the present and potential investors. As we knew that very well, the investment or the capital is the lifeblood of the business. So therefore in order to conduct a smooth activities of a business, we need to have a sufficient investment. That investment is made by the present investors in the form of shares or in the form of any assets. Then potential investors means the people who are looking towards our business in order to invest their money for growth or for multiplication of their money. So they are called as potential investors. Then the creditors. Creditors means one who lends some money to the business, they are called as creditors. Next, the suppliers. Suppliers is nothing but the goods or services supplied by the people to the business for doing the business activities. These people are called as stakeholders. Now we shall move on to the another concept. I hope you understood all these things. So the meaning of financial statement, what are the important components of the financial statement, why the financial statement is prepared, who prepares the financial statement, when prepares the financial statement, and who need the informations of the financial statement. Now we shall move on to one more concept. The concept is the capital and revenue items. Especially when we prepare the financial statement, we need to classify the items. So as we have seen in the meaning of accounting itself, accounting is an art of recording, classifying. So classifying means what? So the business activities or the business transactions should be classified according to its nature in order to exhibit a true and fair view of the business performance or the business position. Otherwise the business may not show the true and fair view. So in order to do that, so we have to classify the items into capital and revenue. So here, what are the capital items and what are the characteristics of a capital items, what are the revenue items and what are the characteristics of a revenue items, how the capital item and revenue item are differ from each other. So we shall look into these things. The first one, capital item. So normally the capital items are non-recurring in nature. Non-recurring in the sense, the capital items may not takes place in the business frequently, regularly, again and again. They takes place only once or twice in the lifetime of a business, or very few time in the lifetime of a business. So therefore the capital items are non-recurring in nature, whereas the revenue items are recurring in nature. Recurring in the nature in the sense, again and again takes place. Example, payment of a salary, payment of a wages, or receipt of a sales revenue. These things are called as revenue items. The capital items, purchase of a building or purchase of a furniture or construction of a building. So these things are called as capital items. Next, the capital items normally huge in nature or so large in size. The amount incurred or the amount received is normally huge, whereas in case of a revenue, the amount received or the amount spent or the things are small in nature. The third difference or the meaning of the capital item is, so the capital items increases the earning capacity of the business. When the business spent some expenditure on its assets or on research and development, definitely that increases the earning capacity of the business. So such items are called as capital items, whereas the revenue items, they maintains only the earning capacity of the business, but it will not enhance or but it will not increases the earning capacity, but the revenue items will incur or the revenue items will results in only maintenance of revenue earning capacity. Next, the capital items normally results in acquisition of capital assets or acquisition of any fixed assets, whereas the revenue items only maintains the acquired capital assets. Next, records in balance sheet. The capital items normally takes place in the financial statement in balance sheet. Already I have explained to you people, the financial statement comprises of the two things. One is a trading and profit and loss account and another one is a balance sheet. Capital items will find the place in a balance sheet, whereas the revenue items will find a place in either trading account or in profit and loss account. Next, the capital items, the benefits of the capital items extends for more than 1 year, not limits only for 1 year. So example you take, if you purchase the building for the business sake, the business will be run in that building for more than 1 year or for unlimited period. So therefore the benefits extracted from that building will extend for many years in a near future. That is why this is the character. Next, the revenue items, the benefits of the revenue items will last only for 1 year. I have already gave an example for a revenue items, the payment of a salary or the payment of a wages or the payment of a rent. If you paid a salary for a person, that person will work only for 1 month. If you paid a wages for any labor, that labor will work only for 1 day for that paid wage. So therefore, the revenue items, the benefits of the revenue items will last only for a limited period or only for 1 year, only for 1 year. So these things we have to see before we go into see the financial statement. Dear student, in the previous class we have got some information about the meaning of a financial statement, and now let us move on few more items which we have to know before we start to prepare the financial statement. The first one is a deferred revenue expenditure. Deferred revenue expenditure. The name itself suggesting us that so it is a revenue expenditure or it is a revenue item, but the thing is deferred. Deferred means postponement. So postponement of what? The postponement of getting the benefit out of that expenditure for more than 1 year. That is called as a deferred revenue expenditure. Example, the expenditure incurred on heavy advertisement or huge expenditure incurred on advertisement. So once if you spent an amount on advertisement, the return will not come immediately. So because the people will go through the advertisement for a number of years, and because of that advertisement, some point of time they will be influenced by the advertisement, and that leads to promotion of purchase of that goods. So that is called as a deferred revenue expenditure, and this is one more items we need to know along with the capital and revenue items. So now we shall move on to see what are the objectives, with which objective we are going to prepare the financial statement. So definitely each one of us will have an objective in our life, and like that each business will have their own objectives. In the same way, the accounting or the financial statement also have some objective. So what are the main objectives of a financial statement? The very first objective of the financial statement is to present the fair and true view. So this is very important point we have to notice here. So fair and true view. So as we seen already, so the business will be done by the investment of somebody else in that sense other than the founded member of the business. Let me say that the shareholders have invested money in the business. So therefore we have to represent or we have to give a true and fair view of the financial performance or the financial position of the business. That two are the main objectives of a business. Once again I repeat, the first objective of a financial statement is present a true and a fair view of financial performance. And the second objective of a financial statement is to present true and fair view of a financial position. So financial positions will be reflected in the balance sheet, and financial positions will be reflected in the trading and profit and loss account. I hope you are clear. Have you understood? You don't have any doubt? Yes, okay. So now we shall move on how to prepare the financial statement. The financial statement, as I said, so it comprises of the two part. One is the trading and profit and loss account. Second one is a balance sheet. So now first we shall move on to how to prepare the trading and profit and loss account. What is the format of a trading and profit and loss account? So this is the horizontal format. So we prepare the financial statement in two ways. One is in the horizontal format and another one is a vertical format. So this trading and profit and loss account, what you people are seeing on the board is a horizontal format of a trading and profit and loss account. The trading and profit and loss account comprises of the two part. One, the left part, and another one is a right part. The left part is also called as a debit part, and the right part is also called as a credit part. And now, so we have to see what all the normal items will appear in trading and profit and loss account. Trading and profit and loss account, or what are the items to be recorded while preparing the financial statement is the first one. Normally the trading account begins with the opening stock if the business is already established. Established in the sense, if it is already well established and running business, the business will begin with the opening stock. If the business is newly established or the newly started, then the opening stock will not appear in the trading and profit and loss account. The first one is opening stock. The second item is purchases. So as we have seen already, the business means buying and selling of goods or services regularly with the intention of earning a profit. So therefore the business will buy the goods with the intention of reselling the goods to customers for profit. So therefore whatever the business bought the goods, so that should be recorded in purchase. So purchase is the second item, and purchase should be subtracted with the returns. Returns means the goods which are bought by us, but if they are not found in a good condition, if the quality of the goods are inferior, so definitely we will not hold those goods and we will return them back to the suppliers. So such return should be subtracted from the purchases. Next, the third is wages. So wages in the sense, so it is a direct expenses. All the direct expenditures we have to record here. And now at this point of time I will make it clear one more point. So what is the difference between expenditure and expenses? Expenditure and expenses. Yes, in a real sense there are no much difference between the expenditure and expenses. The expenditure is a broader term that involves the expenses. The expenses, normally what we say in generally means, the expenses means any amount spent which are in a revenue nature, they are called as expenses. But the expenditure means both the capital expenditure and revenue expenditure, both involves. So therefore expenditure is a broader term and expenses is involved in the expenditure itself. There is no much difference, and we should not get confused with the expenditure and expenses. But in general term, expenditure means the amount spent on purchase of fixed assets or any assets. Expenses means amount spent on maintenance of those fixed assets. So this is the difference between expenditure and expenses. Now we shall come to here the trading account. In the trading account, after recording the purchases, we have to record all the direct expenses which are directly associated with the purchase or manufacture of goods and services which are to be resold. So therefore such expenses are wages. Any wages paid to the laborers in order to bring the goods or in order to manufacture the goods, that should be recorded. So power and fuel. So if it is a business, is a manufacturing concern, then the business obviously need power to produce the goods or fuel to manufacture the goods. Any expenditure spent on the power and fuel, so will become the part and parcel of the trading account, and that will comes under the direct expenses. Next, so customs or a dock duty. If the tradable goods are imported from other countries, while importing the goods or while receiving the goods to our home country, so we must pay the customs duties or dock duties to the custom authority. Any amount paid on such things are called as customs and dock duty, and all the other direct expenses will comes to the trading and profit and loss account in the debit part. When we comes to the credit part of a trading account, the very first item comes is a sales. The very first item comes is a sales. Sales means it is a revenue earned by the business through selling the goods or services over a period of time. Over a period of time in the sense for 1 year. So sales less returns. Returns means when we sold the goods to customers, the customers bought the goods, either bought the goods from us either on cash basis or on credit basis. If they are not satisfied with the goods which we have supplied to them, then definitely obviously they will return the goods to us. So under that circumstances we have to accept the goods and we have to make them a payment. So that should be subtracted from the sales. Now we have to balance the trading account in order to find out or in order to ascertain the gross profit or the gross loss. The gross profit or a gross loss. So now if the revenue is more than the expenses, the resultant figure will be gross profit. If the expenses is greater than the revenue, the resultant figure will be gross loss. The gross loss. So when the sum of opening stock plus purchases plus direct expenses exceeds the sales, then we get a gross loss. This gross loss or gross profit should be carried forward to the other part of the trading account, that is called as a trading and profit and loss account. If we have got a gross profit, that should be brought down to the credit part of profit and loss account, gross profit brought down. If the business sustained a gross loss, that also should be brought down to the debit part of profit and loss account, gross loss brought down. So now herein onwards in the sense, after completion of a trading account part, so in profit and loss account, we have to record only the expenses or revenue which are not directly associated to the business. That means indirect expenses or indirect incomes. I mean to say that these incomes or these expenses are not generated by selling the goods or by purchasing the goods. Instead of that, these incomes or these expenses generated for maintenance of the business. So now the examples, which are all the items normally appears in profit and loss account. So is salary. Salary means, so the salary paid for our employees regularly, that is monthly. So that is an indirect expenses that should be recorded in the debit side of profit and loss account. Interest paid. So interest paid on the capital borrowed from us. So that is also a revenue expenditure or revenue expenses that should be recorded in profit and loss account. Electricity bill paid or any other such type of expenses which are associated with the business to maintain the business, those should be recorded in debit side of profit and loss account. You can find so many items, so many such items. So salary, interest, electricity, then rent, telephone expenses, then stationery expenses, many items will appear. So those things should be recorded in the debit side of profit and loss account. Now we shall move on to the credit side of profit and loss account. The credit side of profit and loss account, already I have told you that it begins with the gross profit brought down. If the business earned a profit, gross profit, that should be brought down to the profit and loss account, and that should be recorded first. Next, any other direct incomes in the sense, these are all the incomes received by the business but not directly generated through sale of goods or services. Example, interest received in the sense, when we lend money to somebody else or when we give advances to the employees, they will pay interest to the amount received. So that interest should be recorded in the credit side of profit and loss account. Next, commission received, an account of providing any service. If the business received a commission, that also should be recorded in credit side of profit and loss account. Discount. So discount received in the sense, normally, so this item may not be appropriate here. So because already in the previous classes, our colleagues, they have told you that there are two types of discount. One is a cash discount and another one is a trade discount. Trade discount will not find a place anywhere in our books of accounts, because the trade discount will be deducted directly from the seller at the time of making the invoice itself or generating the invoice itself. So therefore that will not find a place. And another one is a cash discount. The cash discount will be recorded in the cash book itself. Cash discount will be recorded in the cash book itself. So therefore, but anyhow, these items will appear in profit and loss account. Now we have to sum up this profit and loss account. So if the credit side, that means the income side is greater than the expenses side, the resultant figure will be the net profit earned by the business. That should be transferred to balance sheet to capital account. So in the capital, so we add it to the capital in a balance sheet. If the business sustained a loss, that also should be transferred to balance sheet, but this will be subtracted from the capital. So this is the overall picture how we have to prepare trading and profit and loss account. Once again, I will sum up this. So this is a pro forma or the format of trading and profit and loss account. The trading and profit and loss account for the year ended, normally the accounting year ends with 31st March of every year. So 31st March of every year. So we write 31st March. So debit part and credit part. In the debit side we record all the direct and indirect expenses. In the credit part we record all the direct incomes and indirect incomes. In the subsequent periods we shall see how to solve the problems on trading and profit and loss accounts and the format of a balance sheet. Thank you. Dear student, already we have seen how to prepare the profit and loss account and what are the contents of a profit and loss account in the financial statement part 1. Now let us see few more items apart from knowing the capital and revenue items. So now the one more thing is cost of goods sold. The cost of goods sold is associated with the trading and profit and loss account. Especially it is mainly concerned with the trading account. So the name itself suggesting us that the cost means the total expenditure incurred on what? On goods sold. So that is called as the cost of goods sold. So cost of goods sold is equals to purchases plus direct expenses minus closing stock. Purchases plus direct expenses minus closing stock is nothing but the cost of goods sold in format, in the format. So on the other hand, there are other alternative formulas also for calculation of a cost of goods sold in a different situations. You people will comes to know when you goes to the higher class how to find out the missing figure and how to find the cost of goods sold by using the available information. Now there are three different forms to find out the cost of goods sold. The first one, sales minus gross profit. So the total sales minus gross profit is equals to cost of goods sold. Then another formula is purchases plus direct expenses. This is the most popular formula to find out the cost of goods sold in the absence of closing stock. So first one is also in the absence of a closing stock. So this one. Third one is purchases plus direct expenses minus closing stock in the presence of closing stock. So now once again I repeat, the cost of goods sold means the cost incurred by the business organization, in order to sell the goods, either the manufactured goods or the purchased goods. So that is called cost of goods sold, and this will be the part of trading account, the predominant item. Then next we shall move on to the one more item, the closing stock. Already we have seen while studying the introduction about the financial statement. The financial statement will be prepared by the business organization by the end of the year. So especially after closing all the books of accounts, I mean to say that the ledger accounts, after balancing all the ledger accounts and after preparation of the trial balance, the business prepare the financial statement. But even by the end of the year, some of the accounts were not closed due to its nature. So some of the items or some of the accounts which are not closed are the closing stock and outstanding expenses. Some of the accounts are not closed. So therefore now we have to take the closing stock. So closing stock means the goods or the stock which is unsold by the end of the accounting year is called as closing stock. We have already seen the very first item of the trading account is opening stock for a established business organization. The business organization starts its business with the opening stock. Opening stock means the current year opening stock, it was the closing stock of the previous year. So now closing stock means the goods or the services which are unsold by the end of the accounting year, or the goods or services which are held back in the godown of the business during the end of the year. They are called as a closing stock, and the closing stock should be recorded in the profit and loss account credit side. The credit side of the profit and loss account, we have to record it. We have to record it in the credit side of the profit and loss account, and the journal entry for recording the closing stock in a trading account is a closing stock account debtor to closing stock account debtor to trading and profit and loss account. Trading and profit and loss account. By passing this journal entry, we have to record the closing stock in a trading account. Afterwards, the closing stock should be transferred to balance sheet since it is a asset. Next, So now we shall move on to the another part of a financial statement. As we have seen already, the financial statement comprises of mainly the two parts. One is the trading and profit and loss account, and another one is a balance sheet. So far we have seen how to prepare the trading and profit and loss account, when to prepare the trading and profit and loss account, what are the items to be recorded in a trading and profit and loss account. Now let us see how to prepare the balance sheet, and before we know how to prepare the balance sheet, so we must understand the meaning of a balance sheet. So as the name itself suggesting that the sheet, so sheet can be, so we understood in a general words as a statement. So as a statement, so it is not account, it is a statement. So statement of a balance means the accounts which are balanced by the end of the year, which are all the accounts shows the debit and credit. So especially the capital nature items, so they should be transferred to balance sheet. So balance sheet mainly comprises of two parts. One is the left part is called as a liabilities and capital, right part is called as an asset. Right part is called as an asset, and in the left part, so we have to record the capital plus liabilities, and in the right part we have to record all the assets. Okay, so now we shall see the classification of assets and liabilities. So just now I have told you that in a balance sheet we have to record liabilities and capital. So which are all the liabilities to be recorded in the balance sheet, and which are the assets to be recorded in the balance sheet? So in a one simple word, we have to record all category of assets and all category of liabilities in a balance sheet by the end of the year. So now we shall see what all the assets and liabilities will form a part of a balance sheet, and what is the format of the balance sheet. So normally for a small business concerns or for a sole trading concerns, so we prepare the balance sheet in a horizontal format. And so as we have seen and as we have already learned, there are two formats for preparation of a financial statement. One is a horizontal format and another one is a vertical format. So what you are seeing here on the board, so this is a horizontal format. And once again, so for preparation of a balance sheet, so we have mentioned or we have maintained the two system. One is on the basis of a permanence and another one is on the basis of a liability. So that is liquidity, not the liability, sorry, on the basis of a liquidity. So permanence basis in the sense at most at the top part, so the at most fixed characters of assets and liabilities will be recorded in the top, and so next we will record the less fixed or the less liquid things will be recorded in the next. And when we comes to the liquidity basis or the liquidity format, so we record at most liquid assets and at most liquid liabilities. Liquid liabilities in the sense the liabilities which are to be discharged immediately or within the accounting year, so they should be recorded at the top. And which are the assets found in the format of a liquid. Liquid means in the form of a cash or in the form of a easily convertible cash, so they should be recorded in the top place. Okay, now we shall see the balance sheet will be prepared. Balance sheet will be prepared at a particular date by the end of the accounting year. So now we shall see, so what are the formats and what all the items will appear in balance sheet. So first the liability side. The liability side I said already, liabilities and capital. First we have to record the capital by the end of the year. The capital should be added with the net profit. If the business has got a net profit in the profit and loss account, that should be added to capital. So if the business sustained the loss should be subtracted from the capital. If the business in the sense, if the owner used either the cash or goods for his own benefit, that means for his personal purpose, that is called as a drawing, and the drawing should be subtracted from the capital. Since the drawing reduces or decreases the amount of a capital, that should be subtracted. Then we have to record the long term liabilities. So long term liabilities means the liabilities which are to be discharged for a number of years. So example, the long term loan or the loan from banks for a long term. So that is another things we have to record. Next, the current liabilities. Current liabilities means the liabilities which are to be discharged within accounting year or within the accounting period. Example, creditors should be discharged in accounting year, so therefore the first components of the current liabilities. Then bills payable, so bills payable in the sense the bills accepted by us and that should be paid, that is a bills payable. Then the bank overdraft means so this is the facilities given by the bank to the current account holders, Normally the current account will be held by the businessmen. Whenever they need a short term financial adjustment, the bank will sanction to a limited amount, so that is called as a bank overdraft, and this is one more component of current liabilities. So now we shall come to the asset side of balance sheet. So as I have mentioned already, this format of the balance sheet is on the basis of permanence. So therefore the first asset is fixed assets. The fixed assets, once again, it can be divided into two. One is tangible assets and another one is intangible assets. So tangible assets means the assets which we can see, which we can touch, or which we can use. So they are called as a tangible assets. Intangible assets means so we cannot see and we cannot touch, but only we can get the benefit out of them. They are called as intangible assets. The example for tangible assets, the land, building, plant, machinery and furniture. So these are all the example for tangible assets. And for intangible assets, so goodwill is nothing but the good reputation of the business, the patent right, the copyright. These are the example for intangible assets. So assets can be broadly divided into two. The fixed assets can be broadly divided into two. One is a tangible and another one is a intangible. Now I have mentioned all the tangible and intangible assets under the head fixed assets. The land and building is a tangible assets, plant and machinery is a tangible assets, furnitures are the tangible assets, motor vehicles are the tangible assets. Now the goodwill is an intangible assets, but that is also a fixed assets, that should be recorded under the head fixed assets. Goodwill, patent right, royalty and copyright, these are all the things to be recorded in fixed assets. Next, the second head under the asset is current assets. So current assets means we can understand the assets which can be easily converted into cash in a short span of a period or within a period of a accounting year. So within a period of a accounting year, those assets can be easily converted. Example, so cash is the most liquid assets and that will be in the form of a cash itself. There is no need of converting it into a cash. When we comes to the gold is asset, but immediately that cannot be converted, but it can be converted within a few number of days. So that is current assets. So like this, the assets which can be converted into a cash within a one accounting year, they are called as a current assets. So now the example for a current assets and which are the assets, current assets to be recorded under the current asset is debtors, bills receivable, closing stock, cash at bank, cash in hand and some of other items also there, but we shall see when solving the problems in the part financial statement 2. Now the balance sheet, the resultant figure of the balance sheet is the total capital plus liabilities should be equivalent to assets. So in the very beginning classes, you people have learnt the accounting equation. What the accounting equation says is assets is equals to capital plus liability. So A is equals to C plus L or A is equals to L plus C. So A stands for the total assets of the business, C stands for the capital of the business and L stands for the liability of the business. And this balance sheet is prepared in order to prove this equation. Which equation? The equation assets is equals to capital plus liabilities or assets is equals to liability plus capital. So because of that only the balance sheet has been divided into a two part. So the first part represents liabilities and capital and the second part represents assets. The first capital and liabilities total should be equivalent to the total of assets. The debit side total should be equivalent to the credit side total. When the total of a balance sheet is equal, so it gives the information to the stakeholder that the financial position of the business has been exhibited in a true and fair view. This is the first indication. It gives the stakeholder that the accounts are maintained in a proper way.